Welcome to Nearpod 101. I'm super excited to share this tool with you today. It has been transformational in my experience in classrooms and with leading various sessions and such. And so we're going to start from the very, very beginning with logging in. When you go to nearpod.com, click login. This is very self-explanatory. And you should see this as your landing page. This is your personal library and has all of the sessions that you have either created or added from the Nearpod library. A few significant things, important things to note is that as a campus, Southside has purchased full access to the Nearpod license, which is here. And this means that you have all sorts of pre-recorded, pre-made sessions that you can add to your course very easily. These range in all grade levels, all contents, and then they have a variety of other social justice issues, lessons on COVID, information on distance learning, racial justice, lots and lots of information. If you wanted to go back to your library, you would just click Nearpod. You'd be here. They have reports functions and subplan functions that are great things for you to explore. Today, we're just going to look at how to create a lesson in Nearpod. And you have three options to do this. I'm going to start with the most simple, and then I'm going to move to the slightly more complicated, but one that has lots of benefits. So the first thing is to just create in Nearpod. When you add a slide, all these activities and contents pop up. You have content and you have activities. The activities are going to be things where you receive information from students. Content is when you are pushing information out to students. And this can be a video, it can be a PhET simulation, it can be a slideshow, so an embedded slide deck of photos, it can be field trips, graphing calculators, lots of things. But if I want to just create a plain slide, think of PowerPoint slide, I would click this. Then I get the option to create the theme for the whole session. So I'm just going to go with green today. And then you'll notice this is just very similar to a PowerPoint slide. If I wanted to upload a photo, I can create that there. Right? There's a little guy, little idea. Click save and exit. It's going to ask you if you want to change the lesson theme. Say yes, save. And then my slide is saving here. Now, if I want to add additional content, external content, let's go with the PhET simulation, for example. You have math and science, middle and high school, that you can select from. One of my favorites has always been the science high school. There was one for chemistry that just did a really fantastic job of helping students understand waves. I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to find that specific one, but let's do color vision. That's interesting. So now this PhET simulation will load here. But now let's say I want to add an activity. I want to get some feedback from students. I want to know what they took away from the simulation. So I'm going to add a quick open-ended response question. I'm going to type my question. I have the option to add a timer, which is a fantastic feature. I can also add additional media, video or audio instructions, and I can allow students to record themselves answering and submit that. I'm going to save this question. And so now I have just a plain old slide, I have a PhET simulation, and then I have an opportunity for students to respond to a question. So let's go ahead and just preview really quickly what this would look like. Start at the beginning. So this is the first slide. Here's the PhET simulation. And as it loads, now students can start to play around with different things. They can see all sorts of interesting. We can reset it. and then they answer their question. And they would submit it. Okay? To exit out of the student preview, you click the X button, and then you're back here. So now that you have this sample, how do you then share it with students? So I'm going to save and exit from this. And now this will generate in my library right here. Now, if I see over on this guy, it says unsaved. It won't let me have a live or student paste option until I remove that unsaved, as you see over here on this Nearpod lesson 3. But sample 8.5 has been saved and is ready to share with students. So how do I then take this and give that presentation or give access to students? The way we are going to do this at Southside is via our Schoology classrooms. And in Schoology, we've integrated Nearpod. So you would go to your course, you would go to any folder that you wanted. Say I'm going to go Nearpod training. You add the material, Nearpod. Now this is synced with my account because I have logged in here. If you've not logged in, when you click Nearpod, this window is just going to prompt you to provide your Nearpod credentials. And then it takes you to your library. So I'm going to choose to do a live lesson for sample 8.5. And then there it is. And so when students click on this link, this window populates with the actual Nearpod lesson. So this is the teacher view. I can see the number of participants, number of slides, all that. The student view, I'll just switch that so you can see. Give it a second to process. And now this is what students will see. Since this is a live lesson, students would not be able to navigate here until you shifted the slides as the teacher. So that is very, very basic Nearpod 101. Now, the second way that you can create a Nearpod, and one that I'm learning, is that you can create it by embedding Nearpod into your Google Slides. I'm going to come back to that, mostly just because most of us are used to PowerPoint. So if I create lesson in Nearpod, right here, I have the option to upload files. I'm going to choose any PowerPoint that I have. There we go. I'm going to open this PowerPoint. Oh, that one's too big, it says. If your PowerPoint has videos or anything like that, it might have a difficult time downloading it or opening it. So give it a second to load, and then it says files processing over here, and what it is doing is just converting that PowerPoint, so each slide will be one individual square, and in just a second you'll see that pop up. While I wait for that to process, I'm going to talk through just a couple of other activities. So Draw It is a really fascinating feature in that you can add a picture and allow students to write on the picture. And there we go. Here's our PowerPoint. So our PowerPoint becomes each individual slide. Then as you add activities, so again, if we want to come back and we want to say, let's add a Draw It, you can upload a background image. Let's do some geometry. So this is what students would see. I'm going to save it. It's going to automatically populate to the end. Let's say I want that to be maybe slide 17, so I'm going to move it. So then you can just click and drag wherever you want to go. So once you've uploaded your PowerPoint, You then add whatever activities or content that you want, organize it to the flow that you would like, click Save and Exit. And there you go. So now that lesson is ready to be shared with students. And again, to share it, we're going to use the Nearpod integration with Schoology. And so whenever you're adding a Nearpod to Schoology, all you do is add materials, Nearpod, select the lesson, do student paste on this one, give it a second to process, and then it'll populate right there. And there you go. So that's very, very basic Nearpod 101. If you have questions, please reach out, but otherwise enjoy exploring.